much. And back with us this morning, Professor Stephen Caliendo from North Central College. Good morning.
Hi, good morning.
This was an election that was very emotionally charged.
Yes,
we
that's
didn't talk a lot about policy, and it seems that, you know, in the end, that was successful for President-elect Trump.
That's right, and we don't even know a lot about many of his policies. I mean, they're very broad strokes. He's not a typical politician. This is the first president in U.S. history that has never served in government, including military, right? And so we've got a lot to learn. But political psychologists have known this for a long time. People vote largely based on emotions,
based on the
how they feel, and how a person makes them, how the candidate makes them feel, not necessarily what they think. And I think so much of the time is spent on getting into the nuance of the policies, but even the debates aren't about what was said, how was it said, how can they respond, and how do you feel. That's why so many commercials have like big eagles on them and flags flying and all this kind of stuff, right? There's nothing substantive about that, but it makes you feel a certain way, and that attracts you to a candidate.
I have to ask you this morning about the Electoral College, because we broke that down
we did that yesterday, didn't we? Yeah.
Clearly, that is what you follow to determine who wins the presidency.
Yeah.
But it's not always that the person who wins the electoral votes wins in the popular vote. Could Clinton still win the majority vote? And what would that mean if that plays out?
It doesn't mean anything in terms of what happens, but it'll only be the fifth time in U.S. history that it happened. Now, most of us remember it because it happened in 2000, but before that happened in 2000, it hadn't happened since 1888. Wow. So it's not it hadn't been a common thing. But what happens is if Donald Trump won narrowly in the states that he won, and he did, as we saw last night, some of those swing states, and Hillary Clinton was winning in big margins in some of the states that she won, which was certainly the case, especially in big states like California, that's the way that can happen.
Do you think that has anything to do with why we haven't heard a concession speech from Hillary Clinton?
It shouldn't. It better not, because I'll tell you what, it was the same thing. And I said this very publicly in 2000 after it happened to Al Gore, and people say he really won the election. He didn't really win the election. He played a game that he won a game that they weren't playing.
Yeah,
right. I mean, right, because you would have campaigned differently if it was a popular vote. You can't just say, well, if we had a popular vote, then Al Gore would have won, or perhaps Hillary Clinton would have won. The whole campaign would have been different in those circumstances. So I certainly hope that's not why we haven't heard anything yet.
We'll have to wait and see if we do hear a speech from her coming up a little bit later. Professor Caliendo, thank you so much for joining us as always.